Hey, what's going on YouTube? Just hopping on here Friday afternoon. Thought I'd kind of show something that I really haven't seen on YouTube that much, especially for drag racing. So here is a Phantom torque. I guess this is the Pro spec by Phantom. This is actually one of my 13.5 motors that I have on standby. I currently bought a Outlaw 13.5 from R1 that I'm testing as well. This one does come with a 13 millimeter rotor, as you can see there. Just kind of show you a little bit how to basically shim your rotor shaft, just so there's not a whole lot of play. So I'll kind of pull it out here. This one happens to actually be tuned and modified by Nick Bell, who is one of the, I guess, top, tuner, as far as modified motors. Oops, actually got one of my screws in here. Oops, don't mind that. So yeah, this is a Phantom 13.5, like I said, that I have on standby, just as a spare motor. This one definitely has a strong magnetic rotor in it. Here on the side, you can see obviously your set screws here, so you can adjust your timing. I did actually, what I mentioned in my last video, I did go out and test different timing sets on the can. So I originally started with a Trinity, Trinity Punisher 13.5, who is actually tuned by Rotor. And what I noticed was a lot of these guys on Facebook or anything, they're always like, turn it up straight to 60, give it all the timing that you can, which is fine. I mean, it's a 13.5. I mean, you can't do any sort of tuning in the ESC. So I said, screw it, I'll just put it on 60. Obviously, a lot of timing means a lot of heat. So what I did with this motor to test out was different gearing and different timing sets. So what I noticed was whenever I put my car on, let's say 20 degrees, it was running very cool. As far as the times, it was pretty consistent at a 3.1 at 40 miles an hour. I started cranking up 10 intervals at a time. And then right about when I got to here, 30 to 40 range, it obviously started getting pretty warm. 50 starts getting a little warmer. And then, at 60, it's pretty hot. And then the gearing that I settled on was, I believe, a 6932, which pulled pretty good RPMs after I pulled the data log. But after I went past 30, I really didn't see any more advantage. Honestly, that was just my take on it. I wanted to try different gearing and different sets. And also, this is just my opinion and then my feedback here. What I noticed was when you start getting down to like the 69, 72 range, your car is going to need more torque. So this right here, 40 and down, is going to be your torque range. And then from here up is going to be your, I guess, more horsepower, less torque. So I was trying to find that happy medium of where the motor performed the best, but not getting super hot, because there's no point in putting 60 degrees of timing in this motor if 30 degrees performs just as well. So after all my runs, I ended up going a 3.0 at like 43 miles an hour, which on a GNSS, which is fine. And then on track, it's about a 2.9, which with my last Trinity motor, I ran a 2.93 at 43 miles an hour. So, but yeah, that's just my experiment and my feedback there. Obviously, this is YouTube talk, so you can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But yeah, just wanted to take this motor apart and kind of show you. And I've actually re-shimmed this motor. Even it came from Nick Bell already done, but I re-shimmed it anyway, and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about before I take this last screw out. So when I'm talking about shimming the rotor, you see how there's like no play. There's, probably a hair of play in and out. I don't know if the camera is actually going to see this, but there's like no shaft play in and out, but it spins freely. But let me take out these last screws here, kind of show you what I'm talking about. These screws are so tiny, that's why I have this little cloth here, and this table's black, so I don't want to lose them. So take these out. So I'm just using a 1.5. So just push this out. I kind of show you what these motors look like on the inside. So this is your sensor board. If you've never taken one of these motors apart, I'll kind of go through all of these. So obviously these are your A, B, and C phases. and this actually goes here. So you have your, I don't know specifically, but you're basically, these are your phases that go to here. And so these are actually these little black dots here. These are your A, B, and C, not in particular order, but that's what they are. Obviously, there's your sensor board right there for your sensor wire. So that's actually the end bell there. And so as soon as you take it off, you see the inside of this motor. And this right here, obviously, is your rotor. And there's your end shaft that goes inside this bearing on the outside. And you can see here there's these little shims. So there's actually a thinner one and a wider one. So when I got this motor, it didn't have this one little shim, this little itty bitty thin shim. But I'll show you the difference, what it has and why. So I'll put this back together. Rotate this, put it on backwards. Get it back in there. So now you can see how it's bouncing in and out a lot more. So basically what that is every time you're running your car, it's fluctuating in and out, and it's bouncing off of the sensor board. And basically this timing is going to be irrelevant because it's going in and out of, and each of these phases are going to start acting differently. So by adding that one little shim, it takes away all of that slop. So that is basically what these little bitty shims do here. They basically keep your rotor centered, and also too there are shims on this side as well, on the opposite side. And let's see if I can get this out. It's pretty hard to do this because with that. There we go. So on the other side, there's a bigger shim, and there's a smaller shim. And these were actually all in different order. I just ended up putting them in the order that I thought was best to get it shimmed. And that's kind of the inside of what your motor looks like. There's a stator on the inside, all the coils, obviously. So that's what that looks like. And this is actually what your rotor. And these actually come in different sizes. So I actually had a reedy that I reshimmed as well. And my actually tells you it's kind of etched right here on the sides. You probably can't see it. And also it's etched over here with a part number as well. The reedy came with a 12.3 rotor, and my 4.5 came with a 12.5. So obviously my 4.5 is going to have a little bit more torque. And so obviously the bigger the rotor, the closer it is to the stator, the more rotational pull it's going to have as far as the magnetic, I guess, polarity, whatever it's called. But it's just going to have more magnetic for torque close to the rotor there. So, but yeah, that's how you basically put these shims on, is how what a motor looks like taken apart. And this is what I was talking about. So if you, actually it doesn't have any of these on here. So this is the part that you want to look at as well when you shim these. You see how it's, with that, just that one shim, it's actually super, super close to these little, your A, B, and C as well. So if this is basically riding on that, it's just wearing those out. But by adding this one little shim, now it can spin freely. Oop. That wasn't supposed to happen. But anyway. So yeah. So you can actually see that's how you know it's pretty much shimmed correctly. Let me fix this. Put it on a different way. So yeah, basically you want to get it as close as to those sensors as you can, and it's supposed to spin freely. So that way you know it's going to perform well. So you want it as close as you can to these three sensors. So that way it's reading the right magnetic current, I guess, for your phases, your A, B, and C. And that's what it's supposed to do. So if you ever take one of these motors apart and it's too close to the sensor board, then you need to add a shim. So like right now, you can hear it rubbing. So when this is pushed together, it's going to be rubbing. So by adding this one little shim, I mean, it's a pretty tight shim, so it's pretty small, so it's just going to spin so much more smoother. So yeah, that's kind of my tutorial today on the Phantom 13.5. This is just like a paper shield, pretty much. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning into this video. I hope this helps. Just keep in mind this magnetic is pretty strong, so any sort of pieces of metal, it's going to attract quite big things to it. So, but yeah, if you wouldn't mind giving a like to the video, and also if you haven't already, subscribe, and also yeah, please feel free to drop any sort of comments below if you have any questions. I did get a comment last video on maybe doing some tuning on the Noble radio, so I can do that on my next video. But yeah, we will see you guys on the next one.